Hey, today on the show, we have a returning guest, Toby Fernie from Coldwell Banker and also video4realestate.com. Before we get to that, I want to tell you a little bit about Toby. He's actually been on the show before, and we're super excited to have him back. And we rarely have a guest ever come back. But Toby did such a great job the first time, and he really has made a huge shift since we saw him last. And so we're excited to talk about that. But let me give you a little background on Toby. So Toby Fernie is a realtor in Monterey, California, with 9 years of residential sales experience, 5 years of that in Massachusetts, 4 years in California. Now, in 2021, he was recognized in the International President's Elite category for the top 3% of all Coldwell Banker agents globally. Toby has primarily built his business through home buying seminars for local educators, referrals from past clients, real estate marketing through YouTube. Last time he was on the show, we talked a lot about finding your niche, and Toby talked a lot about working with teachers, specifically out in the Monterey area, and how that was a segment of the population that had really been ignored by realtors. And so he found that niche, and he's got even a different niche now, or an additional niche that I want to talk to you about. But he's created an online course for realtors to show them how to create their own YouTube channel and have success. So I want you all to check out his website, which, by the way, the link for this is in the show notes. But the YouTube URL, the URL for his website is video number 4, so video4realestate.com, video4realestate.com. And Toby and I were just speaking before I bring him on, and he was sharing with me some of the metrics. And this is pretty awesome and impressive and super cool. So we are very excited to have Toby back on the show. Toby, welcome again to the podcast.
DJ, nice to see you. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, we were really excited to have you back, and I'm super excited. But let's give everyone just who maybe is newer to the show and maybe didn't hear your episode last time, and I don't want to retread old ground too much, but let's just give everyone a little bit of a brief overview of your career.
So I started my real estate career in Boston. I went to Boston College, and I was trying to help pay my way through school. So I started doing real estate there, primarily rentals, helping other students who had to find housing off campus, and then young professionals at the time. And I was a teacher for around 9 years after finishing college and doing real estate for 5 years in Boston. And that brought me out to the Monterey area. I was a teacher for 1 year, and unfortunately found within a year of being here that it was difficult to live on a teacher's salary in Monterey, which is one of the most expensive counties in California. And I switched back into real estate around 5 years ago, and I started doing home buying seminars for teachers, helping them through the home buying process, supporting them, and connecting them with some different loan programs that were available for teachers at the time. And so that was primarily what I was doing during my first couple of years doing real estate here in Monterey, and then started a YouTube channel just over 2 years ago, and that has been the primary driver for my business for these last 2 years.
And it's interesting because I do want to sort of set the table, because I know that there are a lot of courses specifically targeting realtors to build up their social media presence, to create YouTube channels, to have success. I'm always a little naturally just cautious, because I think that sometimes there's a lot of excitement around the idea of creating more of an online presence and generating leads. So there's times we get pitched by publicists almost at least once a week for somebody that's created one of these types of courses. And I'm not putting you in the same category, because when we do a little deeper dive into some of these courses, I'm not always that impressed. But I know you, and I know you well enough to know that this is something that I want my audience to check out. You're a good guy. You do good work, and you've had tremendous success with this platform, with YouTube. And so I am really excited to talk about it with you. So tell us a little bit about, sort of why YouTube and what the initial thought was on, creating content to actually bring business in.
Yeah, well, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that, and thank you again for having me on to talk about the course and YouTube in general. So I am somebody who I go to YouTube for a lot of different things. I purchased a house around 2 years ago that's a complete fixer-upper. So I've done a lot to fix up my house through YouTube, whether it's working on plumbing or electrical or learning how to paint. It seems like there's an almost endless number of YouTube videos out there on different topics. So you can search those and learn from people who have a lot of experience in those different areas. And when I first moved to Monterey, I'm not originally from the area. I didn't have a big sphere and didn't know a lot of people. I started searching on YouTube to see what information I could find out about Monterey, since I use YouTube for a lot of different. If I'm going traveling somewhere, I might search different videos about best things to do or places to eat. And I was finding that YouTube did not have a lot of information out there about Monterey. There were some videos from the city of Monterey, some travel bloggers that might have shared their weekend in Monterey, that type of thing.
Yeah, they'd blown through town, do a video about it, but there wasn't a lot of, hey, I live here, I know the area. Here's the sort of the things to know and do.
Exactly. So just kind of, if you're somebody who's moving to the area, or if you're even coming to town for a visit, just trying to teach people the ins and outs about the area. So, what are the pros and cons of living in the area? What's the cost of living in the area? Breaking down some different neighborhoods. If you have a family, where are some good areas with strong schools? What are the best walkable areas in town? So there's just a seemingly endless number of topics that relate to real estate and would be helpful information to people who are searching on YouTube. And as I got into YouTube and made a channel and started making videos, there's so much information out there about the number of people who are on YouTube. There's over 2 billion people with active accounts on YouTube who are searching it on a daily or weekly basis. And so there's people that are searching all the time about real estate information in the area. And what I found is that YouTube is not flooded in the same way as some of these other marketing websites out there, like a Zillow. There's over 250 realtors on Zillow in Monterey County, and my name doesn't even show up until the 21st page. So chances are somebody's not scrolling until the 21st page to find their buyer or their seller's realtor. So I started just putting content out on YouTube that I thought would be helpful to people who are coming to town for a visit or moving to the area. I've been overwhelmed by the number of people who reach out to me on a weekly basis who are qualified buyers. They've learned information about the area that I live through the videos. So, I started out, when I first started real estate here, I was working on a team, and they were purchasing and paying for buyer leads on Zillow. And I was getting calls from people that were asking for $200,000 houses in Big Sur, which is one of the most expensive areas in Monterey, which is one of the most expensive areas in California. So at the time, there weren't houses in Big Sur for less than $1 million. So the leads that I've been getting through YouTube have been people that recognize the area, the prices, and there are people that are higher quality and more qualified buyer or seller leads than I was getting through some of those other marketing sites.
That's a really interesting point. I want to just sort of pause and talk about that for a moment, because I never thought of that. And that actually makes all the sense in the world. By the time anyone can jump on Zillow, put in any, of course, any zip code, any city, any county, any area, and immediately just get a list of things. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily interested in moving to that area or have done any real research. They might just be browsing for homes, as we know people do sometimes, even for fun. And somebody who's contacting you, for Big Sur and looking for a $200,000 home clearly doesn't understand that area. But when you go to YouTube and you start searching for things like best school districts in Monterey or best restaurants, or you have a different level of commitment, I think, to learn about that area. So just as you were saying that, I was thinking, boy, that makes a lot of sense, because by the time you're getting a little bit more specific about an area, you're starting to do deeper dive searches into things, and that's where your videos, I'm guessing, are of real value.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways, YouTube has turned into modern day television. I mean, there is YouTube TV is a platform that a lot of people have their television through. But people, when they're coming on YouTube, you're able to catch their attention for a longer period of time than you would on, say, Facebook or Instagram, where people are kind of scrolling through their feed, looking at their friends, and maybe looking at photos. Maybe they'd be interested in a video that's less than a minute. But on YouTube, people, you can watch it on your phone, your computer, your television. So people are willing to sit down and watch longer periods of time on your channel. I have some videos that are anywhere from 3 to 30 minutes, and you can see the analytics of how many people are engaging and interacting with your videos and how long they're watching the videos for. And then from there, you're able to try to create more videos that are like that are going to get in front of a wider audience. And I think if you're sitting there and you're watching, like you said, a video about the pros and cons of living in an area, chances are you're invested in it. You're going to want to learn more about the area. And the majority of leads that I get are relocations. So people that are moving from a different area. I had a Zoom call this morning with somebody in the Navy who's relocating from Japan to Monterey, and so these are people that are moving. They might not know anybody that the area that they're moving to. They're not going to have a big network. Chances are they're not going to have friends to ask, who's the realtor that I should work with. So people that spend time on my channel, watch a lot of videos, they kind of get to know you, they get invested, and it's almost like they've already done their buyer or seller interview with you. So I've had people that reach out to me and via email, phone calls, and they already have made their mind up that they want to work with me based on the free content and value that I've provided through the channel.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And it's exactly what I do when I go travel. I always do my research by reading travel blogs and getting some written information that I can check out. But then I want to see what some of the tours look like. I want to see what some of the neighborhoods look like, which you don't get as good a sense of just reading someone's travel blog. And I head to YouTube, and then I'm always like, I always also search for things like what are things tourists don't know about that they should know about in an area. Again, these are all deeper dive searches that you and specifically are coming up with content to help somebody like me. Because if I was traveling to Monterey on a vacation, which I would love to do, I would do both of those things. I would find out what TripAdvisor says are the cool things to do. And then I would also be searching on YouTube to find people who are locals, who understand the area, who are like, oh, you're coming here for a weekend. Now, again, that's not looking to buy a home. But I use it the same way somebody would be looking to buy a home who wants to know schools, restaurants, grocery stores, what's it like to live here? All of the things that are more intangible and a little bit harder to get information about simply by looking up home prices on Zillow, for example, like you were saying. So I think that makes all the sense. And I want to just I want to have a quick question for you. So we have a lot of our agents who are going to live in these larger metropolitan areas, or maybe smaller communities like Monterey, but obviously Monterey is pretty well known, obviously for some of the cool things it has. But then we have people. I was in we were talking about French Lick, Indiana, Toby and I before, because I just got back from there. And I'll just make a quick point. So if I was a realtor in French Lick, which is a very tiny community, I might have thought before I went and visited there, oh, well, I guess if you're vacationing, which is what I was doing, yeah, you'd be searching for vacation stuff. And maybe I'd think about buying a home there if I was that interested. But it's a small community, and I might think if I'm a realtor there, oh, no one's going to be searching for cool things to do in French Lick or the best neighborhoods to live in. But when I talked to people in French Lick this weekend, because it's so small, it would be considered a rural community. I said, Do you ever, how often do people move here and they go, oh, it's exploding right now because of, the pandemic accelerated the ability for people to work from home. People now can move. And so even if you're listening and you live in a smaller community, the opportunity to do this, in some ways, you might even argue it's a better opportunity because there might be less competition. I'm shocked that in Monterey, like you were like kind of the first guy to really, really come out and do this. But in these smaller communities, you can absolutely be the first person to do it. And people are, Bozeman, Montana, and all of these places that you think, why would anybody move there? Oh, because it's beautiful and perfect and people can work from home. And so even if you live in these smaller communities where there's not as much traffic, I think it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, so to your point, I would say that if you're in a small community, there's a lot of opportunity, right? Because chances are you might be one of the only realtors that's on there putting out videos, putting out content that would be helpful to people who are moving there. If you're from a larger metropolitan area, say you're from San Francisco, Chicago, New York, chances are there are millions of people that are searching information about your town and your city. And if there are other realtors out there with a channel, that's not necessarily a bad thing. As YouTube's algorithm, it's quite complex, and they certainly know what they're doing. They will recommend videos for videos like ones that you've already watched because they want you to be on that platform. So if there are other realtors out there with a channel and there's a high traffic for search for your area, if they watched a video from another realtor about why they love living in this particular neighborhood, they will then get recommended a video if you put one out there. So I think if you're from a small town, there's opportunity there because there may be less realtors out there with a channel. And like you said, DJ, there's people that are relocating and moving all over the place these days as work has become more flexible. So I would say that if you're from a small area, you should certainly make a channel. If you're from a larger area, you have such a higher number of people that are searching for your neighborhoods, for your city name. Monterey, for example, where I live, it's a town of 30,000 people, so it's a smaller community. And my channel in the last 2 years has gotten over 120,000 different views. So I kind of relate, the time and the effort that you put in. I can't think of any other source where I could come across 120,000 views. I don't know how many hours that would take to go door knock and cold call to get 120,000 people, or how much money you'd have to spend in mailers to do something like that. So once you make these videos, they're out there and they accumulate more and more views. And each day that you have those videos out there, these are more potential viewers, more potential clients. And the email I got yesterday from the person relocating from Japan, that came in at 3 o'clock in the morning. So you're still even able to accumulate and get potential leads even while you sleep.
And I think it's a good point too, because realtors tend to focus on Facebook, Instagram, other social media channels more so than YouTube, because it's easier to create content on Facebook and Instagram. You can take a picture, shoot a quick video, or just write a text post, and it's easy, it's fast, it's easy. But and I haven't looked at the numbers lately, but last I checked, people who are, for example, if you have your own business, if you own your own real estate page on Facebook, it's a business page, you're only the people that have chosen to follow your page. You might only every time you post, about 3 to 5% of that audience is actually going to see it, which is pretty low percentage for people who have chosen to follow your stuff. So if you think, well, Facebook's where all my friends are, and I'm going to get a lot of leads from there. And yes, you can and will, but only a small percentage of the people that are even choosing to follow you on Facebook are going to see that. Toby brings up a really great point. Yes, maybe you have other realtors in your area who are producing videos on YouTube. But I mean, how often does somebody just look at one video about an area when they're thinking of moving there? Toby's exactly right. When I go on vacation, I don't just look at one person's video about why, what I should do when I go to, wherever. I'm looking at 3 or 4 different videos, and it's always because they recommend one after, as the conclusion of the other one. So you're absolutely right. So whether you're in a large community or more rural community, huge opportunity here. And let's just, before we get into the specifics, let's talk about the metrics. And I don't know what you're, what you'd like to share or not, but if we put it, what has been the ROI, the return on investment in, you've invested some capital in making these videos to actually do, you don't have to share numbers, of course, but can you share a little bit about, the results that you've been getting from these videos?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm kind of an open book, so I don't mind sharing. This is a podcast that's meant to help people and encourage them for building their business, right? So the thing about YouTube, right, it's a different social media platform than you'll get on Instagram or Facebook, where it's more so entertainment, right? So those are, you got the people doing the dancing reels where they're pointing to the different, ways that you get pre-approved or whatever you have on those. But YouTube's more of a learning platform, right? So you have the ability to teach people, you have the ability to connect with them and share different information about the area that you live in. The nice thing about YouTube is that it's a free platform to use. So, the course, I go over how to set up a channel. It's free to set up a channel, so you can do that without any cost up front. I also go over ways that you can set up a channel for almost free. You can do it on your iPhone. If you have an iPhone, you might just need a tripod, something to hold up your phone. If you want to invest a small amount of money, there's some videos I have on the course about how to set up a channel for $100, maybe just with a microphone and lights. Or if you want to set up your channel for under $1,000, that's how I initially started my channel. I wanted to start off my channel and see if it was gonna work out. Right, I didn't know how successful that you could be on YouTube. I use YouTube all the time, so I figured that I would try it out. So I decided to buy a less expensive DSLR camera and start making my videos just with a camera and a microphone, and I was shooting outside, so I had plenty of lighting. So that's how I started it out. When I first started doing some sales, I thought, okay, maybe I've caught on to something here. Maybe I'll invest and upgrade some of my gear. I did buy a second camera. I bought some lights so I can film inside in my office. So I have invested some money up front, but the nice thing is, whereas a Zillow, for example, you're spending money, thousands of dollars every month to get leads. Whereas with YouTube, once you purchase that gear and that equipment, you've made that investment up front. It doesn't cost me anything to make a new video and to attract new clients. So to date, I've purchased some different cameras, lights, microphones, some stands. I also purchased a drone that I use for showing off the area for some of my videos or for my listing videos. So I've kind of invested on the higher end. I would say that you certainly don't need to do this. You can invest as little as you want, $0 if you want to film on your phone. So to date, I've spent $10,000 on all the gear that I've purchased for my channel, but I've got about a 28-to-1 return on the investment. So from my channel the last 2 years, I've earned over $280,000, and $200,000 of that was in 2021 alone.
That's incredible. So you invested 10 grand over 2 years, and you're almost at $300,000. That is one heck of an ROI. Now, one question I have. Congratulations, by the way. I think that is beyond impressive, and boy, not much more to say other than wow. Question: editing. So a lot of our listeners are not going to have experience with video editing, with what we might call post-production or production in general. Do you do that yourself? Do you hire someone to do that? What's been your experience there?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say that editing is the most time-consuming portion of creating videos and putting it up on YouTube. And another thing, just a side note, you can connect your YouTube with your Facebook and your Instagram. So when I'm uploading something on YouTube, I'm doing all three of those simultaneously. I have gotten some leads through my Facebook and Instagram just from videos that I was putting up on my YouTube channel. But when you're making videos, editing, uploading, certainly the longest time period that you would put in, I would say it doesn't take too much time to actually come up with your idea for the video and then shoot the video itself. So a couple of different options, and I go over this in the course. One of the 5 modules that's part of the course is all about editing. So it's editing 101. I show people how to edit a video. When I first started my channel, my first videos were horrible. I had no idea what I was doing. I had, no lighting, the microphone was bad, and I didn't know how to edit at all. So I found this software. It's actually called Wondershare Filmora 9.
Sure.
And their tagline is easy to use editing software. So, and that's kind of how I would explain it. It's easy to use even if you don't have a tech or an editing background. You can use that. iMovie, if you have a Mac computer, that's a relatively easy to use editing software. So I show you how to edit it, so how to cut down a clip, how to put text over your videos, how to include music, B-roll if you want. B-roll is when there's a different image or video that's playing over the main video. So if I'm trying to explain, this is what this neighborhood looks like, I might include some B-roll of some shots that I've put of on my camera or on my drone when I'm making those videos. And then the other thing is that you can outsource your editing. So I go all about that. What are the pros and cons, right? So if you're outsourcing your editing, there's going to be a cost associated with editing those videos. I think, as I mentioned, you will certainly get more than your ROI for if you're spending money for editing or putting in some money for your videos. It will come back to you and the clients that you're working with from your channel. So I'll go over some different options, just ways that you can outsource your editing. So it's just weighing your pros and cons. Do you have the time? Are you a realtor that maybe is trying to build your book of business and you would like to, learn how to edit and save money on that? Or are you a realtor that's absolutely swamped? You can't think of adding another thing onto your task list. And so I go over outsourcing ideas and then also how to incorporate YouTube into your weekly schedule by time blocking. So making sure that you put it in there. For me personally, I think that one of the most, if not the most important thing as a realtor is new client acquisition. So if you're not finding ways to meet new clients and work with new clients on a regular basis, you're going to be struggling to make this a viable profession.
Yeah, and I was just thinking as you were mentioning that since the market is shifted, of course, not quite as active as it was the last several years. I think a lot of realtors have some extra time right now that maybe they didn't have in the last 2 years. And so this is a great opportunity if you are in between clients or you have more free time and to really think about, creating this. And I have a question about, you were saying coming up with ideas is actually pretty easy. I'm curious if you have a suggestion for our audience. I have a thought, and I'll give my thought first, and I'd love to hear your thought. If you're thinking, well, I don't know what people want to find on YouTube, I would think about what do clients who are moving to the area ask, right? Like, so if a client's moving, what do they ask you? What are the questions that come up? Those are the exact questions they're typing into YouTube.
Yeah, I try to put myself in the shoes of somebody moving to the area all the time, right? What questions would I have? I moved to Monterey myself around 7 years ago. So what questions did I have? If you're from the area, think about, questions that your clients who have moved to the area have had. Or if you've moved somewhere, put yourself, back in the time that you moved, what were you thinking about? And those are often the types of videos that I'll put together. I have kind of two different categories of videos that I put together. One is more so lifestyle. So, what are the best restaurants? What are the pros and cons of living in the area? The cost of living, best things to do, coffee shops, bars, all those different things. So I put together videos for all those different things on the channel. If you're worried about time, I've shot some of these videos just directly from my office. And so I will, talk about my favorite restaurants and say, here's their address and include some photos that they, have on their Instagram, right? So talking about that, my most viewed video to date has over 20,000 views, and that's just a restaurant's video. And I didn't even leave my house to shoot that video. So that's one category of videos. That's the one that will draw in a lot of different viewers to your channel. And then I also do a real estate content, right? So I want people to know that I'm a realtor. I want them to know, what it's like to work with me. So I will do market updates. So I'll do a market update every month, look at homes sales, what are current homes active on the market. So these are things that you should be doing already as a realtor, right? So you should be looking at the inventory, looking at home sales so you can help buyers and sellers comp out home sales. So a lot of the work that I'm already doing on a day-to-day basis as a realtor, I'll just turn it into a video. So another video that I started doing, I try to put out a video once a week. So another series, if you will, that I started putting out along with a monthly market update is I will do a weekly what's new on the market. So I will talk about.
I love that.
Yeah, so I actually do a screen recording. I will pull up, and Monterey is a small area, so maybe there's 25 new homes that hit the market that week. So I will pull up the different listings and I will do a screen recording. Again, these are all things that I talk about in the course and show you how to do step by step. I'll do a screen recording of those different listings, talk about the listing, where it is, the number of bedrooms, bathrooms, price, and I'll scroll through some photos directly from the listing. There's no MLS violation to do that, right? It's just information that's out there on the internet. So I'm scrolling through, and then I will, show a breakdown of the houses from most affordable to most expensive on a weekly basis. And then each time that I make a video, at the beginning and at the end of the video, I'll share my contact information and say if you're thinking about moving to the area, you're looking to buy or sell, that they can reach out and connect with me. So it's content that I can put out on a weekly basis. Again, you don't have to leave. You don't have to go anywhere. You can do it directly from your office. And hopefully it's things that you're already doing on a daily basis as a realtor.
Do you ever? I love that because it really requires probably little editing, a little amount of editing, tiny editing, because you're really screen recording. You're going over facts and figures, a few pictures here and there. So those are probably faster to produce, I'm guessing, than some of the where you're going on location somewhere to shoot. But do you do that sometimes when you're? I've seen realtors do this where they'll do. I see this more on Facebook and Instagram, where realtors will be on a showing, or maybe it's a listing of theirs, and they'll say, "I want to, walk you through the house," or do you incorporate those as well, or are you more about information that people want when they're moving in versus here's my new listing, check it out?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that you should be incorporating video into your listings as well. A recent stat that I saw, which is kind of shocking, and I saw it through HomeLight, which is a website that collects data about real estate and realtors. It said that 51% of buyers are starting their home search on YouTube looking for their realtors. That alone, I think, should encourage realtors to get on YouTube. And then it also said that 73% of sellers want to work with realtors who are incorporating video into their marketing for their listings. So, we're in the modern age. People want to see video. They want to see, the neighborhood. They want to see, digital walkthroughs of the houses so they can put themselves in there. Plenty of people who purchase homes in Monterey might do it sight unseen. So you got to include all those different things in your marketing. I do include videos of walking through, listings. If I have colleagues who are okay with me doing video walkthroughs, I'll do that. I think it's something that people are very interested in seeing. It'll draw a lot of traffic and a lot of views to your channel. If there's a new housing development and they're willing to let you, tour some of the different models, and you can just do this on your iPhone. You'll want to get what's called a gimbal. That's something that helps to keep the camera steady as you're walking around, because there's a lot of shake when you have your camera lens, and that will be distracting. But if you can do tours of listings, if you can do tours of new housing developments, those are going to get a lot of different views. And it's things that, again, these are qualified viewers who are interested in moving and thinking about purchasing in your area.
Yeah, and you mentioned a gimbal, which, by the way, for those that don't know, as Toby mentioned, it's something that'll keep your phone or your camera steady as you hold it. So when you see these videos of people holding what look like maybe a selfie stick, and you're like, how does the camera stay? So they must have these hands of steel, which is really what it is they're using this thing that compensates for it. And it's, by the way, a gimbal is kind of a generic term for the technology, and it's actually you don't have to spend much money at all. I've seen gimbals for like $30-$40, up to hundreds of dollars. So it's interesting. Is like, oh, you can make your your video really steady, even if you're walking through somebody's home, simply by spending $50, which I think is such a cool thing. So I'm glad you gave us that point. I want to also real quickly talk about the website, because Toby is now teaching this. He's mentioned in his course. The website is video number 4, so video4realestate.com, video4realestate.com, and tell us a little bit about what you get and some of the content.
So I tried to basically explain from A to Z, right? If you're brand new, if you're a novice for making videos, you've never shot a video before, how do you go from setting up a channel itself, right? So how do you set up a channel? I share some analytics and information about the way that you should name your channel, how you should label your videos with titles, and go over how to make a thumbnail, which is the front image on a YouTube video. Because you want to try to, once you're making these videos, putting in the effort, putting out good content, then you have to figure out how you're going to distribute it and get it in the front of the most amount of viewers. So the course is broken down into 5 modules. The first one is all about how to set up your channel. Then I'll go into the gear that you'll want to purchase if you're planning to invest some money for your channel. Again, I'll go over some options of how you can do this for free. One of the videos on there is how to set up your channel for $100 or under $1,000. So we'll talk about cameras, microphones, lights, gimbals, stands, things like that you might want to invest in for your channel. And then I think the meat of the course, if you will, is I have 2 different modules that are all about the content that you should be putting out. So I have spent countless hours doing research and figuring out what are good videos, what are videos that are frequently searched, what are videos that are going to attract buyers and sellers to your channel. So I go over different videos and share how successful they've been on my channel. I include outlines and scripts, so you can make your own. It's going to help you save time on making a video, so you can print it out and just plug in information about your market to replace the things that I've put about Monterey. And then I have examples of those videos. So what do they look like? So it'll help you save time in making those videos. And then I have another module that talks about distribution. So how do you get that out in front of the most amount of potential clients, and what do you do in terms of following up with those clients once they've reached out to you? So it's kind of my 2 years of knowledge and experience, the mistakes that I've made and things that you can avoid. And I kind of put on my former teacher hat, because I do enjoy teaching and working with other realtors and helping people. So it really just is a breakdown of how you can start finding success and attracting clients to your channel on a consistent basis.
And I'm curious, when you started your channel, how long did it take to get, because were you always doing weekly videos when you first started?
So at the beginning, it was certainly not as easy to come up with ideas and content to put out on my channel. Some of the videos, like the monthly market update that I do and the what's new on the market, those are easier to do on a weekly basis. If there's information in the news about real estate, right, when rates were changing, or when there was at a time when people were getting offers way over the asking price, or now that the market is changing and shifting and slowing a little bit, I'll do some videos out there about that. But so it's just it took me a while to figure out a groove for how to make those videos, and so that's some of the information that I share on this channel, so you can figure that out. It took a while for me to start seeing results and success from the channel. I would say it was months before I had anybody that reached out to me from the channel, and so that you have to invest the time. You have to. It's more of a long-term investment and play rather than expecting to get these quick, easy leads right up front. So it's going to take a few months for you to start building momentum and having YouTube recommend your videos out there to viewers. But now I get usually about 3 high-quality leads a week that are coming in.
Wow.
From the channel.
I'm curious. One last two last questions. One, I'm just trying to think of the order to ask these, but I'll just ask them. So I'm curious, because I know you have a funny story about the first lead that you got from, or the first reach out that you got. You mind sharing that?
Yeah, so the first call that I got, I'd been making videos for a few months, and putting out some videos like pros and cons of living in the area and real estate updates. And The first call that I got, I actually missed the call, and they left a voicemail. It was a 10-minute rant of this person saying how he didn't appreciate the pros and cons video that I had put out about Monterey. It sounded like he was a guy that had lived in the area for a long time, and just told me that people don't talk like that around here, and you're not from here, and what do you know about Monterey? So that was a very interesting 10-minute voicemail that I got. Sent that out to some of my friends and colleagues, and it was an interesting first call that I got. And then I actually got my first actual lead a week later. And I picked up the phone this time, and somebody said, "Oh, I just saw your cons of Monterey video, and I thought I was going to have, this person upset with me and was getting ready. Okay, all right, let's hear it. What's it going to be?" And then he said he was actually from Pennsylvania. He was thinking of moving to Santa Cruz, which is about an hour away from my market. Came across my channel, saw some information about living in Monterey, and had no idea about Monterey, and it was actually the first time that he'd come across it. So he said he was now thinking about moving to Monterey, and asked for me to kind of share some of the differences and similarities between Santa Cruz and Monterey. And that was the first person who ended up purchasing with me. He purchased a near $600,000 home in the Monterey area. And so that was, again, somebody moving from Pennsylvania. He was moving here for work, didn't know anybody, didn't have any connections or any realtors in the area. And so that was the first lead that led to a successful sale.
It's amazing. And my last question is, how often do you end up getting leads for people that are moving to other areas? Does that ever happen? Or even though you're creating content around people who are wanting to live in your community, I'm curious if you ever get leads for people to say, well, or I live in Monterey and I'm moving somewhere else and I came across your stuff. Does that ever happen?
Yeah, that's a great question. It has really opened up the area that I practice real estate. The YouTube channel has. When I first started, my primary sphere that I worked with was teachers from the home buying seminar. So it was often people that were purchasing kind of in the lower end of homes in Monterey County, just because it's difficult to afford on a teacher's salary. So I've been opened up to a different type of clients, people that are looking in the surrounding areas. So I have some sales that I've done in Santa Cruz, which again is an hour away from where I live. And then I currently have a listing that's in San Jose, and that was somebody who came across my channel. San Jose is about an hour and a half away from where I live, and they are selling their home in San Jose and then also going to be purchasing one. And so we're in contract for $1 million house in Monterey, and then their house is listed for over $1 million. And then the largest sale that I've done to date has been from the YouTube channel. It was somebody who he was initially interested in Monterey, and I helped him look at some houses in Monterey, but they were more so looking for new homes, and there aren't too many new homes in the Monterey area. So he decided to shift and look up in the Santa Cruz area, and we had been working together for probably 6 months, and he called me on a Saturday out of the blue and just said, "Hey, I went to an open house in Santa Cruz this weekend. Love the house. We'd love to put an offer in on it." And that was a $2.5 million home. So it's kind of opened up to a new group of clientele. I think if you're somebody who came across my website or my Zillow profile and you saw that I was mostly doing homes in in a certain price range, maybe you wouldn't think to work with me. But the channel, I think, by providing free content and value to people, they're not then turning around and looking and seeing at your sales history. They more so want to work with you just based on how they've got to know you from the channel.
Well, Toby, thank you so much for coming on again. I want all of our listeners and our viewers to go to Toby's website and consider investing in his YouTube for Realtors course. His website is video4realestate.com. Again, video4realestate.com. We actually have a coupon code for all of our listeners to get 25% off. So please enter the code REAL, REAL, and you will get 25% off of the purchase price. But boy, if I could get a return like you did. In fact, you've inspired me as a recruiter, which I don't practice real estate. I just realized nobody's making recruiting videos, meaning hey, how do you choose a real estate firm? How do you consider switching real estate firms, right? That's the area that I play in. And I just realized nobody's doing that. So I need to start doing
gotta
that
get on
myself.
YouTube. You should get on there.
I will, and you've inspired me to do that. So I hope we've inspired some other people to pick up your course and also start creating YouTube channels. Toby, what's the best way someone can reach out to you if they're interested in your course? Obviously, they can go to your website. Do you mind sharing your email address with us as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have an email address from the course. So it's Toby, Toby, at video4realestate.com with the number 4. So you can contact me that way. If you want to see some more content in some of the videos that I've put out on my channel, that one is called Living in Monterey, California. So you can take a look there. I have my personal email address, cell phone on all those videos. So yeah, feel free to reach out.
And by the way, steal Toby's ideas for your own area.
Absolutely. Yeah, go for it.
So subscribe to his YouTube channel, Living in Monterey. By the way, we'll have a link. There's a link to that in our show notes. Go pick up his course. Use promo code REAL for 25% off. And boy, Toby, I'm so excited that you did this, and congratulations on all the success. That'll wrap up another episode here of Keeping It Real. We're glad that Toby was able to come on again. He's a good guy, and he has a good service there. And so please check it out. This is the year to get on YouTube and really, start creating content that people want to see and watch those leads start trickling in. So on behalf of our audience, I want to thank Toby for being present once again for the show. Did a great job, of course. And on behalf of Toby and myself, we want to thank everybody for continuing to listen and support our show. Please, 2 things. Go visit his website to check out his course and use promo code REAL for 25% off, video4realestate.com. Sorry, Toby, did I say that? Yeah, that's right. Video4realestate.com. And please tell a friend. Think of one other realtor that needs to get on YouTube, and send them a link from this episode to your friend. Telling a friend is the best way you can help us continue to grow. So, Toby, thank you so much. I will see everybody on the next episode. Thanks, Toby.
Thanks, TJ. Appreciate it.